Has he in any way abused the law around his authority? The mayor made clear today that under this Home Rule Act, the president can, in fact, determine what the emergency is that he is declaring.
I think he's abused his authority. You're right, under Section 740 of the Home Rule Act, the president does get some authority, but I'm not sure he gets to decide for himself what is an emergency. His rendition or version of the so-called facts or the crime in D.C. is quite contrary to what people who are officials in D.C. says about what is happening on the ground. This is not the first time that President Trump has sort of engaged in a sort of alternative version of the facts to suit his own purposes. He wants to have a distraction from the Epstein files. This is yet another attempt to do that, but he's doing it in a Democratic city in order to score political points with his base, and the facts are contrary to what he says.
Well, so has the president declared martial law over the capital city?
Not yet, but he's effectively trying to do that. There's no need for federal forces to step in. There is already a pretty good police force in place in D.C., and as the mayor and others have pointed out, crime is at an all-time low in D.C., which is really quite contrary to the president's assertion of an emergency that would allow him to take over. He only gets 48 hours to do that before he has to make a report on what the progress is that he's done. So so we're next waiting to see what kind of things he says. We have to hope at some point he'll be grounded in reality.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that is how we understand it as well. Under the Home Rule Act, the president can, in fact, federalize or take control of the local police department for 48 hours before having to reassert his authority. So are we going to be in a world where every 2 days the administration needs to make a phone call, declare an emergency, and take over the police?
Well, we could be. I think this is part of President Trump's playbook. Keep people off balance, distract from things he doesn't want them to look at, and try and turn Democrats into the enemy. But the people of D.C. deserve better, and their crime rate is lower, at an all-time low, as we've said. So according to the plain language of the Home Rule Act, the president doesn't have any legal authority to do what he's doing.
Really interesting. Michael, he did talk about other cities today, while he was talking with reporters at the White House, and he specifically called out Chicago and New York. We've already seen the president deploy National Guard troops in Los Angeles, as Miles reminded us a moment ago. But is that the end game, to duplicate this type of thing in other cities, or is Washington special as the federal city when it comes to his authority?
Well, the fact that he mentioned other cities suggests that his game plan is basically to go to try and cast Democratic cities as under siege in emergency circumstances. The facts are contrary to that. What I think the American people need, and what the law requires here, is facts that are true, that would guide the policy of the federal government in this instance. I think this is a play or a ploy, again, to put attention beyond, other than what the president wants attention on. He's still losing support in some circles because of the Epstein mess. And today he's trying yet again to divert attention.